Hi guys, and welcome to Oh No, What Have I Done? With Marcia. Today we're making hot dogs out of carrots. Yeah, I love making weird recipes, and a dear friend recently shared this one with me that makes carrots kind of taste like hot dogs, and I personally like going vegetarian a couple days a week, so why not give it a go? I recently did get Grandma Doris on board with Beyond Burgers, so carrot hot dogs isn't that far of a stretch, is it? Anyway, we're going to try this out. First things up, let's peel some carrots. After realizing you're not really catching anything on camera, let's try peeling them in a more visually appealing manner on camera. So, try not to cut ourselves because this is a pretty dangerous and stupid technique. Seriously, always run the blade away from yourself and don't be dumb. Don't be like me, guys. This is bad. After we peel the carrots, let's cut the ends off and try to make them kind of about the same size, give or take. Then put them in a pan with hot water and boil until you can easily pierce them with a fork, around 10 or 15 minutes. I didn't feel like washing my big saucepan, so I thought I'd just try using this frying pan instead to boil those carrots. Don't do this, guys. This is a terrible idea. The carrots are not fully submerged, as you can see. You constantly need to flip the carrots, and you'll still regret it. Plus, you end up with about 9 minutes of footage of just watching water boil. So we're going to run this at 8 times speed so that we can see the carrots slowly come up to a boil, and then they'll do their thing. I know, I am disappointed in myself just as much as you are, possibly more so. I really did record 8 minutes of waiting for water to boil, and here we are watching it. Look at those carrots go. As you can see, some of them are kind of hot dog-ish shaped, some of them are not. I probably should have trimmed them down so they were more even width across the board. But I didn't do that. So here we are. It's going to take this particular batch about 13 or 14 minutes for them to be fully done because I did not plan accordingly. So let me at least be a lesson to you guys on what you should or should not do. Mostly should not. So anyway, we've got these carrots boiling. There they go. And yeah. Again, I really do like going vegetarian. It just depends on how you source your food, because like if you get something that's super processed, I do it for environmental purposes. And so if you get something that's locally sourced, then it really does save a lot of fuel going out there. You know, you're not shipping grain to cattle, you're not shipping things off to be processed at a plant, then shipping them back to be packaged, and then shipping them to a grocery store. If you get something from, say, your farmer's market, it's something that's usually grown locally. There's less fuel cost being added in, and you can get the item directly as it is. Carrots are a wonderful example of that, you know. You can also grow them yourselves, which is pretty awesome. If you like hunting, that's another way to do it, because you can get your meat locally without having all the extra fuel added in for feed and processing and all that, because you can process it yourself. Or you can just go to the grocery store and buy your stuff. That's cool too. I don't want to be all judgy or anything. Anyway, so we're watching water boil. I added more water to the pan because it was boiling down. And now we're waiting for it to boil again. Isn't this exciting, guys? It definitely beats the last video where we were watching and waiting for paint to dry. So I guess really I should just call these segments Let's Wait for Things to Do Things with Marcia. So here's waiting for water to boil in contrast to waiting for paint to dry. I think in the next segment you might wait for ice to freeze. Won't that be exciting, guys? Anyway, so once these are almost done, we're going to go ahead and make the marinade. In a Ziploc bag or a shallow container, add in a quarter cup of soy sauce, a quarter cup of apple cider vinegar, a quarter cup of vegetable broth, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, 1 tablespoon of liquid smoke, a teaspoon of minced garlic, a teaspoon of pickle juice. You can use the juice from a jar of canned jalapenos if you would rather. I just know that I'm going to be sharing these with my grandma, and if I surprise her with jalapeno juice, she might get really ticked off with me. And considering I'm already throwing this on her, I don't really want to make enemies this week. And then also lastly, a teaspoon of yellow mustard and some onion powder, maybe half a teaspoon or so. We're going to mix that up really good. And then you'll add your carrots in, and we're just going to drop those in straight out of the boiling water. Probably not the best idea since we're putting it in a plastic bag, but I'm really not doing good ideas today, guys. So here we are. It's not going to melt through. It's good enough. And you're going to mix it all together and then let it sit for 4 to 6 hours in the fridge so it can really marinate and the carrots can soak up the juices. At this point, the carrots are fully cooked, and we're just, letting them absorb all that flavor. So then you're going to let them sit, and then it's going to start pouring outside. So you're going to forget that you were preheating your grill and instead heat up a frying pan because you don't want to stand out in the rain. And we're going to throw the carrots into the frying pan with a little oil. First you let the oil preheat. Once it starts looking a little scary and you're worried you might burn the house down, then you add your carrots in. I like using coconut oil because it has a high flash point, which means that it will catch fire at a much higher temperature than a lot of other oils, which means that it's harder to screw up. So you do that, throw your carrots in, and then you occasionally turn them so that they get nice and charred on the outside. So it's kind of like a hot dog, and then you also brush them occasionally with the marinade. You usually don't want to use the marinade that you had your meat soaking in, but because this is not meat, it's only vegetables and they were pre-cooked, it's really okay. So we're going to do that. We're going to let them cook just really until they're brown on the outside. Again, it probably would have been a lot better to throw these on the grill, but it is absolutely pouring, and I am not taking my camera out there in the rain because today it's already been as much of a disaster as it could be, so why add to that, So we're just going to let that cook, see how they're starting to get a little charred on the outside. Part of that is from the cooking process, part of that is actually from the marinade caramelizing in the pan, which turns out to be pretty tasty. Yeah. So there it goes. Look at that. Again, watching things. I don't have any hot dog buns in the house, but if you grew up like I did, you know that sandwich bread is multi-purpose. So, Grandma Doris wouldn't let me film her trying this, but it's safe to say that this is not a hot dog. It's good. It just isn't a hot dog. I'd make it again, but without the bread and without the lying to myself, and maybe just have it as a side dish by itself or something. But anyway, thank you for joining me today. This has been What Have I Done with Marcia? And today we pretended to make hot dogs out of carrots. So, enjoy!